We all want to believe in the good that charities do. It's kind of fundamental. We give our money, our time, our trust, and we just assume that these organizations are being held to a really high standard. But what if that trust is built on a foundation that's, well, a lot shakier than we think?
I mean, really think about that for a second. When you hit that donate button online or you drop some cash in a bucket, what real assurance do you have that the organization is who they say they are, that they're actually going to do what they promise?
Because it turns out, for most of the charities created in the last decade or so, the system that's supposed to vet them, it has a massive, gaping blind spot. Okay, let's get into what's going on here.
To really understand how we got here, we've got to rewind the clock just a few years, back to a time when the whole system for approving new charities was, to put it mildly, in complete crisis. See, because of some really severe budget cuts, the IRS was just buried under a mountain of applications. It got so bad that by 2013, if you started a new charity, you could be waiting a year and a half just for someone to look at your application. Some people waited over 2 years. And this wasn't just some minor inconvenience. It was literally stopping good work from even getting off the ground.
I mean, this says it all, right? The system was under so much strain that they had to create a special website just to handle all the people asking, hey, what's going on with my application? Can you imagine being a nonprofit founder and your weekly ritual is just refreshing this page, hoping for any sign of life? It was a massive signal that something had to change, and it had to change fast.
And so change did come. In 2014, the IRS rolled out what, on the surface, seemed like an absolutely brilliant fix to this crippling backlog. It was a radical shift from a process that had been pretty much the same for decades.
They introduced this little thing, the Form 1023 Easy. This was a brand new, super streamlined application made just for smaller charities. We're talking about organizations that expect to bring in less than $50,000 a year. And by the way, that's the vast majority of new charities starting up. And the effect was, whoa. It was dramatic. The wait time just plummeted from like 18 months down to, in some cases, just a couple of weeks. So on the surface, this looked like a huge win, right? The backlog was cleared, aspiring nonprofits could get to work. Problem solved. Well, not so fast.
Because that incredible efficiency, it turns out, came at a very, very steep and mostly hidden cost. This is where the story really takes a turn.
I don't think anything sums it up better than this quote from the head of the National Council of Nonprofits. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's really not. The new process was so simple, it was, frankly, kind of toothless. Just look at the difference here. The old form, it was this 26-page beast. You had to submit legal documents, a detailed story about what you plan to do, the whole shebang. The new form? It's 3 pages. Instead of sending in your bylaws, you just check a box saying they're okay. Instead of describing your work, you answer a few vague yes or no questions. The new process is, as the source material puts it, virtually devoid of rigor. Now, you might be thinking, okay, surely the IRS knew this looked a little flimsy, right? And they did. Their justification was, don't worry, we're going to shift our focus. We'll go easy on the front end, but we'll do more robust back-end monitoring. So the idea was if any bad actors slipped through, they'd catch them later. Yeah, about that. Unfortunately, that promised safety net of ongoing monitoring for all these new, small charities is, to put it bluntly, just as weak as the application itself. So here's the reality. These smaller charities, all they have to file each year is something called an e-postcard. And this thing has almost zero information about what the charity's actually doing with its money or its time. So here's the crucial takeaway. There's no real screening on the way in, and there's no real monitoring on the back end. The vast majority of new charities are now operating in a complete regulatory blind spot. Okay, so why does all this bureaucratic detail matter to you, the person who's donating? Well, it's because the entire charitable sector is built on one thing, public trust. And this failure to regulate puts that trust in serious, serious jeopardy. It brings us to this really interesting psychological idea called the warm glow effect. Think about the last time you donated. You know that good feeling you get, that little boost? Well, scholars argue that feeling, that warm glow, is actually a bigger reason we donate than even getting a tax deduction. We give because it feels good to be a part of something good. But here's the catch. That warm glow depends entirely on trust. If people start to feel like they can't be sure that an officially recognized charity has actually been vetted, well, that glow starts to fade. It creates what the author of our source material calls a tarnished halo, where suspicion casts a shadow not just over the bad guys, but over every single charity out there. And the stakes here could not be higher. In 2017 alone, Americans gave over $410 billion to charity. That's just a staggering number. If public trust goes down and that giving dries up even a little bit, the impact on our society would be absolutely devastating.
So, we've got a system that's chosen speed over safety, and it's putting the whole sector at risk. So, what's the way out of this? Well, the article we're looking at proposes a pretty clear pivot.
The basic argument is this. Trying to put the genie back in the bottle and get rid of that easy application form, it's probably a lost cause. The real solution is to accept that easy entry point, but then actually build the strong back-end monitoring that was promised but never delivered. This means making charities file more meaningful annual reports, pushing for more transparency, and basically giving the public the tools it needs to help police the sector. And all of this leaves us with one final big question to chew on. In this drive to make things faster and easier, we've accidentally created a system that could undermine the very trust that charity depends on to survive. And it really forces all of us to ask, at the end of the day, what do we value more?